So we start. A swift life impulse, stinted not, nor stopped. It knew not how to tire. Happy were its tears. There, work was play, and play the only work. What a wonderful way of being. All to do everything with a sense of joy. Everything is an expression of joy because the fundamental principle behind the life force is delight. The delight of existence, which is from where all impulsions have originated. So this is the vital heaven. Their work was play, and play the only work. The tasks of heaven, a game of godlike might. The tasks of heaven, task is something heavy. When we are given difficulties, the greater the difficulty, for us the greater the problems, the greater the pain. Here in this world, the greater the difficulty, the greater the sense of achievement, of victory, of joy. So if you are very powerful and very great, you enjoy difficulties so that you can overcome your weaknesses. Man, the average human being, prefers things that are within his scope. He doesn't have to strain too much. You simplify things. This is our world today, everything is getting simplified. Whereas in the ancient days, when man was much more, you might say, alive, we were truly alive. The life force was flowing. These are the great heroes, the great achievers, the conquerors. They wanted great difficulties. Then they could play with the energy that is flowing through the world of the vital. This is the difference. You see, this is something very interesting because as we evolve, as we grow, we often tend to make things easier, simpler. So is it really a growth? We have machines that think for us. We have all kinds of things that we don't have to develop our faculties. We are given faculties, great faculties. And if we could realize the potential, the power, the energy that is given to all living things, life becomes a continuous challenge. But challenge is what heroes enjoy. They don't like simple things. They want to fight. We're seeing today all kinds of matches, either tennis or football or things like that. And you have the sense of people there as if...
Is it too late to join you?
Of course. You have a book?
Yeah.
Come. He's Rakhal from Aurobindo.
Yes.
We are on page 126.
They are not the same book.
Huh? Oh, French and English.
This is French.
So the pages are not the same. But we are on Canto 3. Book 2, Canto 3. You've been to Mother, no? You've been to Mother.
Gave my name.
It makes a lot big difference.
What name she gave?
Rakhal.
Rakhal means what you say?
Cowherd. Cowherd. Or Krishna. Gopal, Rakhal. There used to be an old gentleman here whose name was also Rakhal Bose. He knew the whole of Savitri by heart. He knew the whole of the mother by heart. Yes. Very thin, old, quiet person, but he knew everything by heart. If you have it by heart, it is really inside you. the text is alive inside you. So it makes a big difference. So shall we start? There, work was play, and play the only work. The tasks of heaven, a game of godlike might. All these manifestations of power, which some of the early, you might say, titans, these vital beings, they were called the titans, no? Atlas and Prometheus and Kronos and all these beings, they are simply embodiments of force. And they were tireless. A celestial bacchanal forever pure. Pure in the sense, there was no sense of ego, the joy of simply letting the life force flow through you. Without the sense of sin, without the sense of wrong, that comes when the mind comes in. The mind will say, this is not right, this is not good, this you should not do. And then you hold back. But there are beings who are not made of that nature. These are some of the early beings in the history of manifestation. You take the notion of, say, Bhim or Hanuman in our tradition, simply beings of power. And they are always great. Unstayed by faintness. Unstay is unchecked. Unstayed by faintness, as in mortal frames. We get tired. Our limited beings cannot contain so much life energy. So we get tired, we get fagged out. They don't. Life was an eternity of rapture's moons. Age never came, care never lined the face. Care is worry, care is difficulty. The sense of slow degradation, deterioration of the life energy. This was not there. It is a continuous flow of the life force. Age never came, care never lined the face, imposing on the safety of the stars a race and laughter of immortal strength. The main thing, the race and laughter of immortal strength on the safety of the stars. What is this? It's a very beautiful image. The stars, they are permanent principles of light. They never diminish. They are not planets. In the dark, the stars are always there. Man turns. He moves away from the light. He turns back to the light. We moved from the sun. We turn back to the sun. So there is day, there is night, there is rise, there is fall. But if we have the sense of constantly connecting with the source of light, every star is or the sun also is a star. It is a source of light, of force, of energy, of power. It is from this world that these beings draw this sense of being. The nude godchildren in their play fields rang. Nude of what? Nude of all the coverings of weakness, because we are all essentially divine, but we are covered with all kinds of layers of thought, of weakness, of imperfection, of impurity. That's why we fail. But when you are simply an expression of the divine Ananda and manifestation, you don't need any covering. That's the image of the nude. But they are not mental beings. They have a childlikeness, a simplicity. They don't think, they don't examine, logicize, ask, is this the right thing to be? Should I do like this? This comes as man becomes a mental being. In the mental being, life becomes much more complex, but many more possibilities open up to him. This pure vital energy is mixed now with other things. Smiting the winds with splendour and with speed. Of storm and sun, they made companions. They enjoy the forces of nature. This is nature. Nature is the life force. Earth is the field of nature. And this is the original principle in manifestation before mind takes over. Smiting the winds with splendour and with speed. Of storm and sun they made companions, sported with a white mane of tossing seas. The sea is a field of power, of conscious energy, and you have the image of the white waves, where the sea rises, and when there is a storm, when there is a big storm, men are frightened. They don't fear, they enjoy it. That is the difference. When difficulties come, battles come, oppositions come, heroes are happy because they have the chance to draw from that source of strength to fight, to conquer, not to yield, to always go forward. When man becomes more thoughtful, he tries to solve difficulties with the help of mind. His energy is less. Slew distance, trampled to death under their wheels, and wrestled in the arenas of their force. The whole universe is an arena where all kinds of clashes, enjoyments. This was actually one of the earliest forms of sport when primitive man was even physically evolving. Sport were for gladiators, for warriors. Sport is not running and jumping only. Sport is a field of clash where challenges were enjoyed. And sometimes knowingly that this one being will have to die, will not be able to fulfill his function, that is part of the game. In every game somebody has to lose, somebody wins, but there is no sense of fear, there is no sense of loss. That is there. It is not at all unusual when we look at our epics, all epics, not ours. Every epic, the story of evolving humanity. At the center of every epic, you have battle, you have war. Whether the war is sometimes in the mind, like in Paradise Lost, or you have the battlefields of the Mahabharata, the Kurukshetra, or of the Iliad. Everywhere that sense of making man rise up to his highest capacities, fearlessly, not to accept the sense of weakness. Today we accept ourselves as weak. Say, I can't do this, I'm not like this. So have we really progressed in every way? What we have gained on one side, we have lost on the other. The sense of universal energy, the power, the openness to the flow of nature's power, all that is replaced by too thoughtful a mind. Mind is a defective thing often. It comes in the way of action. It doesn't allow us to be our true selves. So slew distance, trampled to death under their wheels, and wrestled in the arenas of their force. That is the whole field. So you have the image of chariots always. In the battlefields you have chariots. In the field, the universe is where man rides a chariot. Chariot is your being, your body. And that's the interesting part if you know the story of the battle between Arjuna, whose charioteer was the Lord. He did not fight. Krishna did not fight. Krishna drove the chariot. Krishna allowed himself to be guided by the charioteer. If I allow myself to be guided by the charioteer, then there is no victory that is not possible for me. Continuously the charioteer guides. How few were the Pandavas compared to the Kauravas? They were far fewer, yet they won the battle. Because the Lord was the guide. When I accept the Lord as the guide, I do the fighting, but He guides me. Whereas the other side, they were their authors of their action. And therefore, though there were some of them splendid warriors, they did not succeed. Imperious in their radiance like the suns, they kindled heaven with the glory of their limbs, flung like a divine largesse to the world. Largesse is, generosity. You give freely, without measure, without calculation. So it is as if this life, this field of nature, is a field where energy, there is nothing else that is at work within us. Energy. There is energy in the body, energy in the vital, energy in the mind, energy in the spirit. It's always energy. That is the life force. That is the mother power. She is the creative energy. So this is flung in all directions, without calculation, without holding back, without measuring this is too much or this is too little. That is the largest. So the divine gift of grace, of power, of energy that is given to man, given to earth, which earth does not always realize. But on this vital plane, this is the vital heaven.
What does imperious mean? Imperious meaning.
What? Imperious, like an emperor. Commanding, ruling. The sun is the emperor. So they don't bend, they don't bow. They just play. And whatever the result of the game, the play will lead them to something which may give them even death. That is also part of the game. It is not faced with fear. Fear did not exist. At this stage, there is no such thing as fear. Fear is a little, you draw back because you know that there is something weak in you. Weakness is a sign of imperfection. Mother calls it impurity. She even says fear is the greatest impurity. It is the sense of being part of the lower existence. Here in this world there is no impurity. Whatever is expressed with joy. They kindled heaven with the glory of their limbs, therefore they are all beautiful, all magnificent creatures, flung like a divine largesse to the world, a spell to force the heart to stark delight. It's like magic. A spell is cast. And that is why these beings, they belong to the middle worlds. Sri Aurobindo has spoken of beings of the middle worlds. In the middle world, each world is complete and perfect in itself. This is a vital heaven. These beings are joy, but joy always goes hand in hand with beauty and with love. So you have beings of power, beings of beauty. These beings of beauty, like say the Apsaras, the Gandharvas, they don't also have a sense of sin or wrong. They are themselves. Like a small child has no sense of wrong. He has a sense of just being himself. So automatically the sense of joy, the beauty is there present in all things. Like it is not there in a tree. A tree is magnificent. A tree doesn't think that perhaps nothing grows under me. I'm stopping all other flowers from growing, from flowering because I'm spreading my branches in all directions. A tree doesn't think, a tree is a tree. There is a sense of power and beauty and magnificence in nature, that's all. Or a mountain, the sense of greatness in matter, that is a mountain. They carried the pride and mastery of their charm as if life's banner on the roads of space. That's why he uses the word charm or spell. Charm is quality which cannot be defined or analyzed. It's a delight of existence. Not that there was no play of a continuous manifestation. When there is a continuity, there is a certain mind element. Mind comes, it gives a sense of sequence. One thought will lead to the next. But these thoughts are not thoughts for the sake of thinking. Thoughts which were an unfolding of the field of life. Ideas were luminous comrades of the soul. It's a beautiful image. Soul is your inner being, is your inner state. So whatever you are within, the idea is a comrade of the soul. Mind played with speech, cast javelins of thought. You get the image of joy of playing and javelin again of warfare, the sense of delight that is there in power. Language can become an expression of power when there is not the cold, rational expression of thought. It's simply an inspired language. Therefore, mind played with speech. It's the weapon of the mind. Cast javelins of thought. But needed not these instruments toil to know what we have. We have to develop our faculties. In our minds, we have to develop the faculties of the mind. Thought, intelligence, or reasoning. All these things we have to acquire. Slowly develop them. Here they are spontaneous. These beings, like we have images of these gigantic titans, they were not stupid. They had wisdom. These great beings had a direct connection with the source of light, of power, on that level. So some of them were great sadhaks also, in a sense. For instance, Ravana, he knew the Vedas by heart. It was not, he is the great grandson of Brahma, direct descendant. But, there is a but of course, at a certain stage, for Ravana something else intervened. Ego. His mother. His mother was an Asuri. So otherwise it comes in a straight line. So this sense of a creative energy. Brahma is the creative energy. Ravana is a projection of that creative energy. So there you get images of all these forces. They are not necessarily wicked. They are expressions of power. What goes wrong is what do you use this power for? As you become a mental being, you have power. You use the power for personal gain, the ego has come in. Personal profit at the cost of somebody else's pain, perhaps, it doesn't bother you. This is what happens in the world of politics and so on. I win, you lose. Knowledge was nature's pastime like the rest. It's a game. For us, knowledge is not always a game. It's a struggle. It's an effort. It's a training. We have to develop our faculties. Investitured with the fresh heart's bright ray, and early God instinct's child inheritors. These beings are instincts. Instinct is not thinking. Instinct is a direct, you might say, force that has been given to us from beyond. A natural knowledge which you don't have to acquire. So this becomes a joy. God instincts, child inheritors. Man is automatically an expression of beauty, of strength, of power, of delight. So these are all God instincts. Investiture is a ceremony. When you are given the robe of authority, the robe of power, you are invested. Like when a king, he becomes king, this crowning ceremony, he has to wear a special robe. That means it is an external sign of authority and power. All of us are people, are human beings, so is the king and the queen and everybody else. But in the olden days, this sense of greatness was also a symbol, external symbol. That's why kings were given crowns and scepters and globes. All these is like a kind of a expression of control, of power, informing the universe around them that they have the right to take charge. Because they are great. Not a king is not necessarily in the olden days the son of a king. A king is the best and the strongest and the highest, because there is nobody like him. He is one in the front of the immemorial quest, as it has been said earlier. He is ahead of the rest. He is the leader of the race. Always this notion that the king has to be the leader of the race. Then others will follow. So he is given that. That is the abhishek we have. In our country we call it the abhishek. The ceremony which makes it clear to all that he becomes there one who is the repository of a divine role. He has been selected for a divine role. Kings are selected by the divine. Investitured with the fresh heart's bright ray, their hearts are always full of joy. That is their clothing. They are not clothed by tiredness, they are not clothed with darkness. They are always the sense of the delight of existence, which is automatically glowing out of them. An early God instincts, child inheritors, tenants of the perpetuity of time. Perpetuity of time. For them, death has no meaning. It just goes on. Life is meant to be manifested in space and in time. When we move out of space and time, you enter into the spaceless infinite. In the spaceless infinite, there is no manifestation, there is no creation, there is only that. But when you enter into the play of multiplicity, of variety, of all these possibilities of existence, then you need the framework of time. So when you have a story, all you want to know is when did it happen, where did it happen? So you can locate. At a certain stage of the development of consciousness on the earth, this world of the vital becomes the dominant power. Ashwapati is making a journey through these fields. This book too is a traveler, is experienced by this traveler. He's moving from one world to the next. He's seeing this world. He's seeing these beings, these forces. There is simply the sense of always the delight of manifestation. Still thrilling with the first creation's bliss. Because why did the divine create the world? Because he wanted to. It is his world. He projected it. And that sense of joy, like an artist creates, you can't tell an artist, why did you do it? You did it because something wanted inside to manifest itself. So the world and creation is an expression of the divine delight. So Sat Chit Ananda. Without that, there is no true creation. So that first creation's bliss, they steeped existence in their youth of soul. If I can feel that joy, that delight in all things, there is no tiredness, no aging. Unfortunately, with us, as our energy decreases with time, with age, the ability to take joy in all things is replaced by a withdrawal from all things. You get tired, you don't want to be part of this. You say, no, I can't, I'm not anymore, I don't have the energy, I don't have the power. This is a sign that we have narrowed down our field of our being, our consciousness. So I can't contain that much power. I can't contain that much energy. But if I have no limits, because I'm part of the divine, the sense of this, I'm an expression of the divine Ananda. The wind, for instance, does not say, today I'm tired, I don't want to blow. It is a universal energy. Wherever it blows where it likes. It throws down trees or it helps things to grow, no matter what. The right and the wrong are not at all considered. So there was always this sense of the strong and exquisite and vehement tyranny, the strong compulsion of their will to joy, poured smiling streams of happiness through the world. This is the Ananda. There reigned a breath of high immune content. This joy would never go. That is why these beings of this world, Aurobindo describes them at different parts of the book also. For instance, they're not only powers of force, beings of force, they are beings of beauty, like the Apsaras, or artists, like the Gandharvas. They have no sense of wrongdoing, they have no sense of aging, they have no sense of tiredness. They simply are. They are themselves. They manifest themselves. This is the delight of existence. They don't belong to the highest plane. They belong to the middle worlds. So there reigned a breath of high immune content, a fortunate gait of days in tranquil air. Sometimes there is no fear, so it's always, whatever happens, life goes on happily. Perhaps that is behind the idea we have sometimes. When you live your best, you say you want to be happy ever after. Nobody has lived ever after. There has never been an ever after. But the sense of the dream of having a life of endless joy, where no harm, no discord, no suffering can come. That is one of our earliest dreams. A flood of universal love and peace. A sovereignty of tireless sweetness lived, like a song of pleasure on the lips of time. All of this is beautiful. Now, we have this certain descriptions of Sri Aurobindo. I don't know how many of you have read Ilion. Have you read Ilion? Ilion is the story of Troy. Ilion is the name of Troy, the old name. There are the book of the kings. Each king speaks, because there were 5,000 kings from Greece who had gone to bring back Helen. Helen is the embodiment of beauty and perfection. And their speeches simply are embodiments of this. Each king has gone to bring back Helen. All can't get Helen, but their duty is that they will fight and bring Helen back as a trophy to Greece. She came from Greece, she will be brought back to Greece. They will do everything. And each is fearless, each is strong, each is proud in his own way, great in his own way. But the sense of magnificence in their language, of fearlessness, and all the same time, the greatness of their character. Each one's character, the nobility, the sense of high achievement. That is what today, unfortunately, man has lost. It's a very, very beautiful poem.
Original is it? Originally in English or translated?
Sri Aurobindo.
No, Indian. Oh, Sri Aurobindo Indian.
It is Sri Aurobindo. He has not finished it. Something I cannot really forgive. An epic has to be written in 12 books. He has written 10 and a half, 9 and a half. He has not finished the 9th one. And there's 10, 11, 12. He didn't have time to finish it. He complained. It is a continuous flow of wonderful inspiration. So beautiful in his language. And it is impossible almost in English because it is hexameter. It is not 5 feet like Savitri. There are 17 syllables to a line. So there are hexameters. The last one only has 2 feet, otherwise you have 5, 3 feet. So you have 17 syllables to a line. It's marvelous. And it starts when the story starts? On the last day of Troy. The last dawn that will come over Troy, Troy will be burnt that night. But the dawn knows that tomorrow when she comes, the city will not be there. But she's still beautiful that day. That day's beauty of the dawn is marvelous. She doesn't say, there won't be any city tomorrow. Tonight the city will be burnt. That doesn't stop her from being the most beautiful dawn. It's something that is magical. I find that poem so beautiful. Only 9.5 books he has written. If he had finished it, it would have really been something, because English it's not easy to write hexameters in English. It's a classical language. It's not a different kind of Greek, Latin, French, they go in hexameters. English, German, these go in pentameters.
He's taken Latin.
Yeah.
No, now he's going to the school.
He will tell me, next time he comes, he will teach me. He will know much more than I do. Next time he sit here. A sovereignty of tireless sweetness lived, like a song of pleasure on the lips of time. A large spontaneous order freed the will. Automatically, nothing was in a state of disorder. Disorder is a sign of unconsciousness. Wherever there is a disorder, whether in your mind or in your room, it's a sign of unconsciousness. So a large, you might say, spontaneous order automatically freed the will. A sun-frank winging of the soul to bliss, the breadth and greatness of the unfettered act, that act which does not have to be controlled and checked, and the swift fire heart's golden liberty. There was no falsehood of soul severance. We are not cut off from our innermost being. That is the whole thing. When we have pushed the soul back deep within us and live on the surface soul, which is the ego, we have cut ourselves off from ourselves. The surface person and the inner person become two different people. But if I live become one person, as Mother starts by saying, always become one person. Unite yourself with your true self. Then you have all power. This is what we have forgotten. Here there was no such soul severance. There came no crookedness of thought or word to rob creation of its native truths. All was sincerity and natural force. There freedom was sole rule and highest law. Now the word law and freedom seem to be in opposition to one another. So that is the whole thing. There is no such thing as wrong at that stage. Freely you are expressing the divine.